Hey guys, welcome back. I think today we're going to maybe talk about Final Fantasy 12. I haven't been on in a while, but I'm here now, and yeah, I beat Final Fantasy 12 not too terribly long ago. I think in total it took me about 50 hours to beat the game. And I am a fan of Final Fantasy. I like the series. My favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy X. I think Final Fantasy X is a masterpiece of a game. It's brilliant. I refer to it as a Buddhist fever dream because that's what it feels like to me. I love that game. But anyway, back to Final Fantasy 12. So this game kind of is very different from other Final Fantasies because it's sort of medieval in a way. Medieval, and it's kind of got this Game of Thrones vibe going on, especially with the way that the characters speak, the dialogue. It's a lot of knights. It's a lot of medieval fantasy with knights. And like Magitech sort of armors, flying machines, and this type of thing. A majority of this game takes place in the world of Ivalice, which is this Final Fantasy world that, to my understanding, is based first on Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a different game. But it takes place in the same sort of Final Fantasy world of Ivalice. And so the main character is this sort of street urchin guy named Vaughn. And his childhood friend, Penelo. Excuse me. And Vaughn's brother, Rex. In the very opening scene, witnesses his king be murdered by this other character named Bosh, who was a knight, a traitorous knight, and essentially you play as Vaughn, who is Rex's brother, and your adventure begins. You decide that you're gonna steal this treasure, this gem, from the royal palace of Rabanester, and which is the city, this desert city, where the game sort of begins. And you go to steal this gemstone, this diamond, for lack of a better word. This crystal. It's a crystal. It's always a crystal in Final Fantasy. It's a crystal. Not a gem, it's a crystal. Anyway, you steal this thing and you find out that this shit's important. It's called the Dawn Shard. The Dawn Shard. And Vaughn's like, what's a Dawn Shard? I'm just trying to make some money by selling this. I don't really want to say too much more about the story and plot, other than it turns into this political intrigue, sort of like exiled group on the run, political intrigue, medieval with like knights. These characters called the judges. And they have like crazy armor. And they have insane weapons. It's really cool, but the main things about Final Fantasy XII that sort of differentiate it from the other installments in the franchise are that the combat is this really unique system called the Gambit system, and essentially it's sort of like an MMO where you sort of walk into an instance field and you see the enemies on the map moving about. And they have sort of like an aggro radius set. If you enter it, they will begin to attack you. And you can set up these things called gambits, which is essentially you program your party members to react to certain things. So like if party member drops below 50% health, use cure. If flying enemy is weak to lightning, strike with lightning. And so it becomes this really enticing system where you set up your gambits how you think that they're going to best work, and then you sort of move about the map, and like if your party just moves through the map without too much trouble, like it's such a great feeling. So the gameplay loop is really fun in my opinion. Boss fights are really engaging because while you do have the gambit system, you will have to pause and issue commands because there are many challenging boss fights in that game, in my opinion. And that was Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. Also, the license board system, really cool. The job system, the party customization is really interesting and fun. The music, I liked it, but it's not crazy memorable other than a few of the tracks. It's not one of those Final Fantasies like 10, 7, 13, 8, 14, 15 that you listen to the soundtrack and you're like, man, this is so genius. Like, all of this is so atmospheric and perfectly beautiful, and like, I really love 10 in particular. Has every single track is amazing on 10. 13, I know it gets clowned on a lot, and I even clown on it a bit, but the music and the aesthetics of that game are so good. It's like this crystal iridescent mixed with this like technology, this like divine tech. It's just so beautiful. I love it. Anyway, so Final Fantasy XII, here's kind of the rundown. Divisive combat system, but honestly, try and give it a chance. It's really fun. I find it very addicting personally. Music, great. Great. Characters, terrible, bland, not good. You'll end up liking 3 or 4 maybe, but honestly the cast is super weak and forgettable. Graphics, I think it has a really cool and like unique style and look that sort of fits into that like classic Final Fantasy look of like 9 tactics, 3, 2, 1. And I mean, you can't even count 1, but like, you know what I mean. And like, it has a lot of unique items that you can get. It has super bosses that you can fight. I mean, in general, what would I rate it? I would give Final Fantasy 12 an 8 out of 10. I think that's a more than fair score for that game. I think probably a more accurate score for Final Fantasy X would be like a 7.8, if you know what I mean. Yeah, 7.8 out of 10. But I still think if you like Final Fantasy, you should play it. If you like strategy games, you should definitely play it. If you're into games that are more passive, like games that have wait times, you would probably enjoy this game a lot. It's not so action oriented, it's more about strategizing and exploring is another really like great part about this game. All the hunts you can go on that take you into these nooks and crannies of these maps and these deep dive long dungeons. And yeah, I mean, I really got my worth out of that game. I played it for about 50 hours, so 50, 60 hours, I believe. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And if that sounds interesting to you, I think you should go pick it up too. Personally, I bought it on Steam, which is where I play most of my games. But yeah, go check it out. See ya.